regardless of what anyone tells you what a networking do, it's not plain sailing, is it? It's up and down.
Absolutely, like anyone's journey, right? In business. Otherwise, you know for sure that if someone says, yes, we're just smashing it year on year, they are not revealing the truth. And so you started your own business, and like you said, it has been roller coaster. As a business owner, usually we have quite few defining moments in our business which changes the direction of you as a business owner, and perhaps even changing your mindset or changing the direction of your business altogether. Have you ever had that moment in your business?
I think we've had quite a lot of what we'd call soft moments, those things that make you think a couple of times. And then now and again, you get that big one that makes you go, I've got that wrong. And that's the sort of seminal moment you go, right, now's the time to go back and look at this. And of course, when you're out on your own, that's quite a lonely thing to go through.
So was it something in specific that you're referring to, like that that painful moment when you got it wrong? And did you get it wrong? What happened?
I think there's always a degree of you've got it wrong, whether that's the big thing you've got wrong or the little things you've got wrong, or is an error of judgment, whatever it might be. I guess to explain that moment, the way our business works is we get our business from introducers. So because what we do is quite nichey, we get business introduced from other mortgage brokers, accountants, financial advisors, etc. So we work through them to get to our end client. And we had one case that was introduced to us and it went wrong. Not because of what we did, but because actually the person we'd worked through hadn't quite been as honest as we were.
So you mean referring to the introducer or to the person that they refer to, the introducer? So what happened then?
We were asked to go and finance a restaurant that was struggling. They needed money quite urgently. And this was introduced to us via another mortgage broker. And we put the finance together. It met all the criteria that the client had asked for. It looked fine. And then we got a threatening solicitor's letter through a few weeks later. And it's one of those that's several pages, and you read it, you just go, oh, that was the big worry.
So what was the letter referring to? Like,
we'd put a finance deal together based on what the client wanted, but this was based on what our introducer had told us the client wanted. And basically the client had gone to settle their finance agreement, which we never knew was an intention of theirs. And of course, there was a hefty cost to them in doing that.
Like a settlement fee.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, we had a solicitor's letter come through from the client saying, we want this money back. You're at fault. You've done X, Y, Z. You failed in this A, B, C. And it's one of those you look at and you go, what am I going to do?
Because you are a fully independent advisor. You are FCA registered as well.
Correct.
Under umbrella. So stuff like this happening in your business is crucial. It's either like make it or break it. It's can bring your business down overnight, isn't it?
It is. So if that sort of complaint is upheld and we are negligent, then we can lose our license. We can be fined by our regulator. So we are squeaky clean on that side. So this is a potential end of business moment.
So how did you navigate that then? What happened?
Our first point of call was to go back to the introducer that gave us a business and say, hang on, what have you said to the client? We need your notes and we also need your help to resolve it. And their response was basically to wash their hands. Your problem, not ours, which was perhaps the first point I realized that people will let you down when times get hard.
So you left basically to your own devices.
And you suddenly realize, okay, some people are there when things are going well. As soon as it gets hard, they sort of just wash your hands of it. And it's a learning moment and that it's quite tough. Some people will cross you and just leave you to it.
And I'm guessing you obviously had relationship with that introducer. You don't do business just with anyone. It's usually built on trust and relationship. So that's much tougher to navigate,
Exactly. And we do diligence on people we work with, but you can't diligence their character. You can look at their professional standing, whatever else, but you can't do diligence on their underlying character because you don't know until these things arrive. And it's one of those moments that you look at it and of course you take that problem home with you. You know as well as I do, unless you run your own business, you don't understand what running a business is like. It's great, but it is also quite lonely. And of course, you're carrying it on your shoulders. The corporate world, you pass it upwards or you pass it down. In the world that we're in, there's nowhere else for it to go. You've got to deal with it. It's hard to lose sleep over things like that.
So am I guessing right, like these situations start to affect not just your business, but like your personal life?
Of course they do.
In what
Yeah,
way?
'cause-
Like, like you said, sleepless nights, like your partner, I guess, when you shared this situation, they probably didn't understand, like what were the response? Were they like, oh, it'll be fine, or
don't really appreciate gravity and how far the potential problem goes. You are crossing that line between professional and personal. And of course, the people that you love that you've got around you will generally tell you what you want to hear. They want to support you. And sometimes that's not always the most constructive.
So must have been quite, I guess, tough position to be in that moment when you're facing a big letter from solicitors, potentially, big hefty chunk of money out of your business, losing that relationship and trust with your introducer, actually not having great relationship at home with your partner. So must have been quite a lonely place for you because, as I always say, as a business owner, you can't go and complain to your customers. You can't go and complain to your team members. You can't go and complain to your spouse or your partner. But you are a human being. It's left on your shoulders to deal with that. And how did you deal with that? What happened? Tell me.
At this point in time, I was in an office that I shared with another guy who ran a completely different business. And I guess luckily I had someone who was completely unconnected to me that just talked back at me normally. He basically just said, stand up to them. From a corporate background, you'd never do that. You talk to placate and compromise. Whereas he said, no, that's not what you do. Just tell them this is the tougher part of running a business.